somebody who tunes in. There's like 2 hours notice for this. I'm just bored. And I'm not really bored. Maybe I'll play piano. Nobody's here, nobody's here, nobody's here. Wonder if anyone will show up. If not, I'm doing a live by myself. All by myself. All by my lonesome. I'll wait 5 minutes. If 5 minutes nobody shows up, I will log off. Oh, hey, there's one person. Hiya. If you want to stay, that'd be cool. I'm all by myself. Nope, they left. Okay. Somebody came. It's hotter than hell in here. I don't mind talking to myself. I'll just talk to myself. There's supposed to be 2 of you there now. Hopefully you stick around. Hi. I just wanted to hang out and talk. If anyone's there, leave some comments. I don't really, just been having a rough time. My night sweats are back. Really stressed out with helping my neighbor Tiffany. Just got back from her apartment, and I ordered her a big thing of Friskies, and one of them had burst, so it was so disgusting. It smelled gross. So yeah. Her house smells like pee really bad because the animals peed in there, and she was using and in the middle of an episode for a long time. So I've been cutting out carpet in sections so that it doesn't smell so bad, and I really want to move out of my building. If I get some money, I'm going to move out of my building because I don't like the people in this building. They're not very compassionate, and there's a lot of people who are gossips, and I'd say 60% of the building sticks to themselves, and then the other 40% gossip, talk trash about one another. Yeah, so I want to move, so I'm trying to manifest a bunch of money. So if you guys have any ideas on how to do that, please let me know. I meditated today. I'm all sweaty. From working in the apartment. I've been trying to help as much as I can. So I have a video on doing what you can. So if somebody's going through a psychotic break or something like that, there's not a lot you can do to talk them out of it or get them to the hospital, because we don't think we're sick, right? But there are still things that you can do, you can bring someone food, or you can do their laundry, or whatever. There are still little things that you can do to let that person know that you still care about them. And that, because when you're like that, it seems like nobody cares. Nobody cares, because really no one does. But yeah, so I've been doing her laundry. I cut up a bunch of the carpet so that it doesn't smell so bad, because the neighbors keep complaining. What had happened was my husband and I and his brother went over to her house to change the locks, because she had her, this is mental illness for you. She had a padlock on her door, like a ring and a padlock on her door, and so that's how you open and close your door. So if you were inside and the padlock was shut, you wouldn't be able to get out. So she had a screwdriver to screw the door open. It was really kind of crazy. So we changed the locks and we cut out some of the carpet, and then I ran into one of the neighbors, and the neighbor's like, oh, the downstairs neighbor said that they had a wave of fleas after you guys did that. And I'm like, fleas don't hibernate underneath carpet. they, they need something to eat. So I was pretty upset about that, and they blamed us for throwing it in the street, which I wouldn't do. We wouldn't throw it in the street. We threw it all in the dumpster. But I think somebody else moved out and threw carpet in the street, so that's probably why they thought it was us. But they had no business like accusing us and gossiping about me, and all because I'm trying to help someone. All because I'm trying to help someone. So I went to the HOA meeting, and I told I told the board everything. I was like, and the homeowners association people that handle it, I was like, you know, these people are harassing Tiffany just as much as she has harassed them. Like, I'm only helping her, and I've been chased down the hall by one of her neighbors. The two neighbors upstairs from her try to befriend me. And so, like, I thought that they, like, I was walking Chance, Tiffany's dog, and they were coming back from the bar or something, right? And so they see Chance, and they're like, oh, Chance, and then they walk over and they start telling us their whole sob story about how Tiffany's screaming and banging on the walls, and she busted into their house, and she's just a complete nightmare, and like, oh, I have so much understanding for mental health, it's in my family, I know all about mental health, but this is not a group home. And it's like that not in my backyard type shit. Like, you know, where people say, oh, there's so many homeless, and then they say, we're going to build a homeless shelter. And then everyone's like, not near my house, you're going to bring my property value down. This is all that lady could talk about is like, I'm losing money on my place, and like, it's understandable how upset they are, because they saved a bunch of money and moved out here to Long Beach and used every penny to buy that place, and then as soon as they move in, they have this nightmare neighbor underneath them that's screaming all the time and banging on stuff. And so, and it's been going on for a long time, like 2 years. So those neighbors, in the process of dealing with Tiffany, have driven themselves crazy. Like, they are out of their mind. And so they've all like made me their new target because I'm trying to help her. So the two girls walk up to me, and they're like, they were telling me all that stuff, and they're like, oh, we should get your number so, you know, we can keep in touch and know what's going on. And I was like, okay. And so I give them my number, and then they start texting me like, oh, is there a light on in her apartment? We're just a little freaked out. And then, oh, do you know if Tiffany has a carbon monoxide detector? And I didn't think anything of it at the time, because I'm really naive. I never think about people's ulterior motives. And I think that's why people think I'm so weird, is because because I don't have any ulterior motives. Like, if I'm helping someone, it's just to help someone, because I've been there and I want to help someone. Hey! My little dog is not going to stop barking. Just a second. Hey! Can't do that. So anyway, where was I? Oh! Hello, Jeffrey Sable. So, so anyway, I don't typically have ulterior motives, right? I just like, you know, like helping people. So I don't even think anything of it, them asking me if she has a carbon monoxide detector. I just take a picture of it and send it to them. Well, I'm getting Tiffany's mail, so, and I had happened to mention to the next door neighbor that that her sliding glass door was broken, or that she had 2 broken windows or whatever. And then like, I'm getting her mail, and so in the mail I get a letter from the city of Long Beach saying, oh, there's animal smell of feces and urine, and there's no feces smell. It's just urine, and it's because her dogs were potty pad trained, and it doesn't all get on the potty pad, and she was going through stuff. So, there's a plane going by, and it made me lose my thought. Anyway, so I get a letter from the city of Long Beach saying, oh, we heard all the, and it was because of them, because they're still harassing her. She's gone in rehab, has been gone for a couple of months. And granted, they are still being bothered by the smell, but it's not that bad anymore. It's gotten significantly better, and I'm trying to make it go away even more. And it's them, because Tiffany stands to inherit a lot of money. And her upstairs neighbors know about that. And I believe that if Tiffany didn't stand to inherit any money, they would be much more compassionate towards her, and they wouldn't be trying to kick her out so easily, because then they would know that she would be homeless. And I think that they're jealous, because one of the things that happens when we go into mania or psychosis and have an episode, we're so cruel and mean to all the people around us. We scream and yell at them, and we're just not nice, and far from nice. We're awful. And so these, usually the victim of our anger and psychosis, they want us to suffer consequences. Like, they think, well, don't they know there's going to be consequences? No, because when somebody's in psychosis, they're not thinking about consequences, because they can't even make decisions right. They're thinking people are after them and stuff. So I think that these ladies really want to get her back for all of the, I think all the neighbors want to get her back for all of the, it's not just that they want her gone, it's that they want her to suffer consequences. And they know that she's getting money, and she's going to be able to start this whole new life once she gets out of rehab, should she get better. And I think that's upsetting to them, because they lost so much, and they think they are not able to get her back. So I don't know. I was dealing with that. So I'm having night sweats again, and then I take the dogs for a walk. I'm just walking the dogs, and Chance is like really her dog is really dog reactive. So I walk past the store, and this guy has a dog on a leash, and I'm grabbing Chance as close to me as I can, and he's barking and going mental. And the guy lets his dog walk right up to Chance, and I'm like, can you please like pull your dog back if you see a dog reacting? And then he starts yelling at me, why don't you train your dog? And I'm like, I am training my dog. You see this right here? It's a treat bag. I'm like, but there's a dog over there, a dog right there. I have to walk by you. And like, he got immediately mad. Like, he went into like attack defensive mode. And like, I literally feel that when people get angry with me, like I can feel their anger. Like my blood pressure raises. I start feeling like shaky, and like it's hard to keep the rage. Can you check your phone? No, I'm on my phone. That's my husband for the other person that's on there, trying to get a hold of me. I don't know what you want, Jeff, but how much did your hair cost? I already answered. I already told you how much my hair costs. I already told you, look at your text message. Look at your text message. I asked my husband to join. I didn't know that he was going to join to ask me about getting my hair done yesterday and how much it cost. So, if you have anything to say that's not related to my hair, I would love to hear it. How was your week? Anything exciting? You're welcome. You are welcome. I love you too. So I'm hanging out with somebody, I don't know who, but if you have a chance, leave a comment. I didn't announce I was going to do a live. It was just kind of random. I just went on, so it's not like I'm surprised that no one's here already. But yeah, I probably won't be on that long unless more people come. I'm happy to talk to my husband on this live. But I can talk to him on the phone. So that's what I've been up to. I don't really have anything valuable to say. I was just kind of coming online to chat and see if anybody wanted to chat, if anybody was going through anything that they wanted advice about or question or whatever. So that's all. That is all. I posted a video yesterday. Not much else going on. Just sitting here with my dog. See? Hello. 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 What? Are you big into manifestation? I am trying to manifest a lot of money. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want it to be in a good way. Like, perhaps I could win the $750 million and then build an animal sanctuary and buy an apartment on Ocean that I really, really want. But that's a dream, so I don't think that's gonna happen. How many people do you think are dreaming about winning the lottery every night? I used to, when I was so depressed, that was like the one thing I held on to. That was the only hope I had in my life. Because I was in a manic, like a major depression. And I would buy lottery, I talk about this on the channel, but I would buy lottery tickets. I would buy, Lucky for Life is what they were called. So you buy a ticket and then you pay like $2,500 a month for the rest of your life, type of thing. So I was addicted to those, and like I lived in Santa Monica. I was coming off a really bad episode in front of all of my coworkers. I worked in Santa Monica in media, and I got promoted, and it took me 4 years to get promoted from assistant media buyer to media buyer. And when I got promoted, and this is how it started, I know this is how it started. It also started because of lack of sleep, and it was probably just time for me to have another psychotic episode. But I was unmedicated at this point. I wasn't diagnosed until 6 years ago. So if you're new here and you don't know that, that's the situation. So my third episode, I was working in Santa Monica. I was a media buyer, and one day I looked over at my boss, because what we do is we would negotiate prices for commercial space, like call up, like ABC and say, hey, I want to buy ads in these shows, and that's what we would do. And so clients would come to the company and be like, here's $5 million for our ad budget, buy all of our national television, is where I worked. And so one day I'm looking at my boss, because they put these huge expectations on you to get a certain amount of viewers for a certain price, and it's so much pressure. And I was looking at my boss, and I was like, dude, that would be the goal if I stayed in this business, to get up to director, and I don't want her job. Like, and it was just like this realization, like, I don't know, like a crisis or something, that like I've been working for 5 years to do a job that I want nothing to do with. Like, it just seemed so miserable. And then I had an episode, but there was more involved. I also like entered the singing contest type, and I was really amped about that, so I stayed up all night. And when you stay up all night and you don't sleep, like, that's like asking for mania. So that's what had happened with that, and so that's what I was doing, right? And so when I had that realization and I went manic, oh, it was so bad. I did it in front of everybody. I was so psychotic that I wouldn't go to work, right? And then I would go to work for like 10 minutes and then leave and go home and then be gone for the rest of the day. And then I would show up at work in weird clothes. I don't know what it is about mania. My husband always brings this up, that he's always like, how come everybody who's manic dresses so strange? Because I really dressed weird, like super creative, I guess, when I was in mania. But yeah, so I'd show up at my job. They had to hire private security because I kept showing. I can't focus. Hi, Cybercab. I can't focus either half the time. I'm wondering if I have ADD too, because like somebody will be saying something to me and I won't even hear it. I'll just be like, hi. I do both. Yeah. Oh, you do have ADD. Yeah. My doctor hasn't said it. So far my diagnosis is PTSD and bipolar 1 with psychotic features. But I have a feeling if I told her some of the attention problems that I have, she might diagnose that as well. Because it really is like I can have a full-blown conversation with someone and just be in outer space, like somewhere else, and not even hear what they're saying. Um, that happens to you too? Yeah. PTSD, ADHD. I think it's like impossible to have bipolar disorder with psychosis and not have PTSD. Like I've said this in another. I've hey. Okay. Bye. I'm Jess. I'm halfway through your video. I have to finish it though. So I'm gonna go back and finish it. That's Jess from Our Bipolar. You guys, if you're on there, you can check out her channel. She's super cool. Let's reschedule or what? Yes. Okay, so we will. I'll Instagram you. I don't think I'm doing anything this weekend. But what was I talking about? Where was I? PTSD. Oh, so they had to hire private security for me, which was completely embarrassing. And I don't remember so much of it because I blacked out. Yeah, ADHD. What's the difference between ADD and ADHD? Are they the same? I don't know. But, security story? Oh, it's okay. It's totally fine. Okay. See, I'm learning too. No, so they hired private security, so I don't remember a lot of it. I remember like clips, like I have flashes of memories, like I remember sitting outside with the CEO of the company. Yeah, probably. So I was sitting outside with the CEO of the company and the rep from CW. And I don't know why I was with both of them, but I was sitting at the table outside of the building and like the lunch area. And I don't know, I guess I was telling him how much money I had and like I had all this money, but I didn't really have it, but I thought I had it because I was a mania. So that was super embarrassing because that was the sales rep that I had worked with, and I was almost friends with his wife because she worked at a network that I was unfamiliar with their programming at the time, but she worked for a network called Fox News, which I actually bought for clients in the past, which I'm not a fan of, and I don't like that network. But yeah, so anyway, so we were sort of friends, and then his name was Ryan, and then what the hell was the CEO's name? I don't remember. But we're sitting out there, I'm telling him about all this money I have and blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the flashes that I have that I remember. And then I remember there was a fire drill, right? And I was hanging out around, because I only lived like half a mile from my job. And so I was hanging out and there was a fire drill. And I remember everybody was down, like there's 4 buildings, they're called the Water Gardens, and there's 4 huge buildings. And the ad agency that I worked for was there. And so all of the buildings had a fire alarm at the same time. So, so when they had the fire alarm, all the employees were outside, and I remember like chasing my boss, being like, "Why did you send that letter? Why did you send that letter?" I thought that she sent some letter about me, and I remember another employee, her name was Marnie. She saw me like walking and asking Jen. That was my boss. I know it's a weird name, Jen. I guess like there were 2 Jennifers, and so she became Jen when she was in school. But anyways, she was my boss, and I was telling her, why'd you write that letter? Why'd you do this? Like basically harassing her and following all the people walking. And Marnie like gets up and like walks in between us because like she didn't say anything to me, but she knew like she was like trying to like protect Jen from me. So that's one of the flashes I have. But yeah, it was really embarrassing. They kept calling security. I would keep showing up at the job, and they kept calling security. And finally, I showed up at the job one day, and my friend who worked at the company also found out that I was there, and they were getting ready to call security on me again. And she grabbed her purse and was like, "Screw this, I'm gonna go get her." And she went and got me, and somehow got me to the hospital. And I ended up in Westwood, which is like a super nice mental hospital, probably the nicest one. It's the nicest one I've ever been to. But I ended up there, and they're a teaching hospital, so that hospital is UCLA. They have all these students learning psychiatry, so it's very they'll keep you there. Most psychiatric wards will bring you in and then kick you out in 24 hours or like 5 days or a week or whatever. But at Westwood, because they're a teaching school, if you're still showing symptoms, minor symptoms even, or they will keep you there. I had to go to court. I was there 3 weeks, and I had to go to court and talk my way out of there. That's the problem when you're high functioning, is you can get out of situations easier. So like I figured out all that I have to do is call patient rights. Hi, Jack. So all I had to do was call patient every time I get in the hospital involuntarily. So I've only gone voluntarily once. And then once I was when I went voluntary, they switched it to involuntary, which I don't know if they do that every time, but if you come in and say, I'm a danger to myself and others, I need to go to the hospital, it makes sense that they would tell you, okay, you're a danger to yourself and others, you can't leave until you're better. But yeah, so every time I was involuntarily committed, they have like this thing on the board that's posted that says patient rights, and there's a phone number there. So I called patient rights, and so patient rights gets on the phone, and they have these mental health advocates so that people don't get stuck unfairly under somebody put something nasty in the thing. Hi, Wash. What am I? Wash says hello. Hello. He only has one eye, and he was born that way. I think he's adopted, but don't tell him that. I lost my thought. Cybercab. Does that happen to you? Do you lose your thought? Because I lose my thought. So anyway, okay, so that's where I was. Yeah, I was in the hospital. So I would figure out how to get out of these places. You get an advocate, and they hold a hearing after a few days in the hospital between like patient rights, the doctor, and then I don't know if it's a legal person or what. But if you can talk your way out of it, you can talk your way out of a mental hospital. So that's the problem when you're high functioning, is where you can like, you're out of your mind, but you can still, and a lot of people do, like you figure out what to say to get out of the situation, and that's why there's so many problems and so many homeless people and stuff. Like, yeah, I'm not going to diagnose myself with something else, but sorry, I went off and talked to Cybercab. I'm not going to diagnose myself with something else, but it has gotten significantly worse to where I have a really hard time focusing, really hard. Like, I think yesterday I went and did the laundry and started cooking all at the same time, and forgot both things, and then I went did something else, and then went back and was like, oh my god, I was doing laundry, and then that kind of thing. So I don't know if that's ADD or not. I don't know. And also people claim that sometimes their medication makes them have memory loss. I haven't experienced that. Yeah, no, I've always had a crappy memory. But yeah. So where was I? Oh yeah, so I was talking about patient rights. So anyways, I was in UCLA for 3 weeks before they let me out, and when they let me out, I wasn't 100%. Because when you come out of psychosis, it's not like you wake up and you're out of it. It's a slow, you start to come out of it slowly. So I would say I was probably, they got a court order for me to take medication, so I was force medicated. And yeah, they can force you to take medication. So I had to take the medication, and so because of that, when the 3 weeks, somebody keeps putting something inappropriate in the chat. So if you're there, like, I don't want any inappropriate stuff on my channel. So I filter, so you're automatically going to get blocked. I put any message I hold messages that are inappropriate for review from YouTube, to avoid getting weird stuff. So yeah, I can't remember what I was saying. I'll remember again. And they just keep going. I can't remember. He's talking about patient rights. Okay, so when I got out of Westwood, I was maybe like 75% um, in my right mind. Wow. Misplacing them. Um, the whole thing with losing friends is like so normal if you have a mental illness. Um, Sometimes memories come back later though. Like I had this friend in college and then like 10 years later she's like, don't you remember we used to eat those budding lunch meats? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then like 5 years later I was like, it came back, but my memory. Sad face. What's back? I'm not blocked yet. Good. What'd you say that would get you blocked? I remember. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, sometimes I'll forget something for years and then I'll remember it and like remember it years later. But with the stuff that happens in psychosis, it's gone. It will never come back. I don't have missing memories that come back when I don't have missing memories from psychosis that all of a sudden pop in my head. They're just gone. I have situations that I remember that I have a situation where something really bad happened to me that I don't remember, but I know something bad happened to me because there was evidence. Um, and the last thing I remember is this guy kissing me, and then I know I didn't want to kiss him, and it's just black after that. There's nothing else. So that might be part of my nightmares. I don't know. I don't know. I've had nightmares relating to situations like that before. But yeah, so if the memory is gone when if you are in psychosis and you're blacked out, a lot of loved ones get confused because, hi Jefferson, a lot of loved ones get confused because they're like, they don't know what you remember and what you don't remember. And I feel like sometimes some people, not everyone, think that we choose what to remember. And we don't. It's just, hello. My family used to say, hello. Because, what's that movie? Medea. If you've ever seen the Medea movies, they're hysterical. And she goes, hello. So, instead of hello. Anyway, yeah, so people don't really understand and so what happens is the brain is moving so fast that your brain does not have time to file the memory. Because I asked my psychiatrist, because I was scared, because I know I have really traumatic things that happen to me that just aren't in my brain. And she said, no, it's not going to come back. It was never there. Like, you never were able to create that memory because your brain was moving so fast, which is interesting. I never really thought of my brain like a filing cabinet up there, but I guess that's what it is. So yeah, I have a lot that I don't remember. And that's frustrating because if you have a family like mine where everything is swept under the rug and nobody talks about anything, I don't really know what I've done to hurt my siblings, my parents. I don't know what I've done to hurt them because I don't remember, and they're not going to tell me because we don't have the kind of family that discusses problems. And that's just how some families are. I don't want to say it's like a bad thing or anything. It's just, I don't know. I prefer to get things out and talk about it and get things out, but I think that's how you heal. But some personality types just want to be happy and kind of ignore all the bad stuff. But the problem is that bad stuff, it doesn't go away. It's still there, and so it creates like this underlying thing. I used to stuff my emotions a lot, and I can't anymore. Now they're all over the place, and I'm screaming and yelling over the drop of a hat. I was pretty proud of myself though. just now on my dog walk. I don't know if you were here for that, but I went on a dog walk and I was walking Chance and he went bananas. And this guy just let his dog walk up to him. Anyways, I could have raged in that incident and I didn't. So I guess that means the Geodon is working. Woo! Yeah, so, where was I don't remember. What is that, like the 6th time was it that that's happened? That I forgot what I was saying. I was talking about memories. Not remembering memories, and trauma, and I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about. Do you guys have any questions about anything? Not that I will have the answer. Oh, and I am going to do a live with Jess from Our Bipolar. I don't know when we're going to do it. We have to reschedule. But yeah, so Tiffany, my neighbor and now friend, is in rehab, and so, hi, JK-er. We're talking about whatever you want right now. So if anybody has any questions about bipolar, how old were you when you were diagnosed and when was the first symptoms? If you're, yeah, of course. I have my whole story in a video, but it's a really long video, so, but I'll tell you. So when I was 16, my parents got divorced when I was 14, and they had a really tumultuous relationship, which was really hard on me and my brothers, and I was the oldest, so it was probably hardest on me because I was forced to try to take care of them when everything else was going south. Like I had to be, the big sister. And back then, like, parents let their kids play out on the street by themselves, and because I was the oldest, it was like 100 years ago. but yeah, I'm going off on a tangent. But when I was 16, I started experiencing symptoms of mania, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought that it was some sort of end of the world, Jesus thing happening. I thought that everyone was watching me. It was a lot of paranoia, and I remember I was at my friend's mom's house, and I opened her closet, and there were all these balloons that her husband had gotten her, and I freaked out. Like, I thought that they were from a dead person or something like that. I don't know, but I was hospitalized, and they took me. At the time, I lived up north, and they took me to this place called Cottage Care in Santa Barbara. And I remember going to the counter, and I remember freaking out once we got there because I realized my mom was trying to put me in the hospital. And I remember walking through the sliding glass doors that slide this way, and I remember just pushing them open. I don't know, mania, super strength, or maybe they allowed it, maybe the doors actually do that. I don't know. But then everything is black, and I don't remember anything until waking up in that hospital. And I woke up in the hospital, and I go outside, and of the hospital, like there's an outside area. Back then they used to allow you to smoke cigarettes in the mental hospital, and I smoked back then. And so I was outside, and they gave one of the counselors or nurses gave me a menu and was like, here, you can order something. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool for a second. And then I see a camera, and I start freaking out. I think like outer space is watching me through the camera, and screaming and yelling, and then like 4 nurses come out, pick me up by my arms and legs, and give me a shot of Thorazine. So then I pass out, and I was there for a month, and hi Nancy, and I have like 2 memories maybe from that hospitalization, because I was so young and I was so doped up. So I was actually diagnosed with schizophrenia at that time, and I was put on 4 different medications: Tegretol, Resperol, Halidol, and something else. And this was years ago, because I'm like old now. So I was 16. They diagnosed me with schizophrenia, put me on all those medications. I tell them in the hospital about the side effects I have. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I kept telling them, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't go to the bathroom. And they weren't paying attention to me. They weren't listening to me about the side effects. And instead, they gave me like this giant jug of laxative to drink. And so I did that. And then they sent me home with all my medication and told me to get Metamucil. So I go home and I'm taking the medication, taking the Metamucil, and I'm out on the patio one day with my friend smoking a cigarette, and I see like little red dots under my hand, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And so I go inside and I tell, I don't know who it was. I don't know if my mom came over or if it was my stepmom. I thought it was my stepmom, but I don't know because I feel like my mom took me to the hospital. Anyways, somebody shined a flashlight in the back of my throat and saw a huge blister. So then I went to the ER in Templeton, a town that's close by, and the ER gave me looked at my female parts, which was weird. I thought it was weird at the time, and I remember, like you're on the table, and I remember the doctor saying, we need to admit her right away, and so it's traumatic. So they admitted me, and because they weren't listening to my side effects, and because I was on the wrong medication, which that's not why, I'm allergic to sulfa. So I had a severe allergic reaction, a life-threatening allergic reaction. This is the first time I've gotten any kind of mental illness diagnosis, the first time I've had any kind of episode, and I'm diagnosed incorrectly, put on the wrong medication, and I happen to be put on a medication that I'm allergic to. So I developed something called Stevens-Johnson syndrome, and I had TENS, which is this extreme toxic epidermal syndrome. It's a 50% mortality rate. So I guess I was in the hospital. It was like when they admitted me, the next day, I had blisters. Yeah, I had blisters from head to toe. My lips are not totally pink. There's part of them are scar color. Because my lips were blistered out here. I had blisters all over my face, head to toe, and blisters inside my body. An internist came in and told my parents, she's probably not going to make it through the night, so prepare yourself. And magically, I survived. Oh, hi, Splash. You did not get kicked out. I don't know what this person is asking. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. I don't know if they're trying to be held on 100. I don't know what that means. Anyway, back to talking about what I was talking about. So, I got Stevens-Johnson syndrome at 16. And actually, I had my birthday in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks from that allergic reaction. They thought I was going to die. I didn't, magically, and afterwards, my family was so put off by the misdiagnosis, by what the medication had done, they weren't about to go and look into this mental illness thing and put me on different kind of medication because of what had happened. And I remember my dad taking me to a doctor. Hold on, sweetie. My cat's yelling at me. I remember my dad taking me to a doctor. I remember the doctor saying, it's just like a flash of memory. You have all these windows in your mind, and you've opened them all. You can't go back. And I thought that was really crazy. But I didn't take the medication because I don't know if he prescribed me it or not. I don't know if my parents decided I didn't have to take I don't know what happened. But the diagnosis was incorrect. So that was the first time I was experiencing any sort of mental health thing. The second time I had an episode, it was because of medication. I was 28, I had just graduated college, and I had realized that I spent all this time and money working my ass off in college, and then when I got my degree, the world did not open up for me. I did not have a million opportunities. It was still really hard. And so his name is Sebastian. He has one eye. See? He's old. I don't know how old he is, but he's an older dog. Yeah, so the second time I was diagnosed with something, I was having a really, really hard time. So the world didn't open up for me. Everybody was buying places at that time in San Diego, and I happened to have a really good job that got me through college. So I decided to buy a place all by myself at like 26, which was a huge mistake. And I thought, hey, if you buy this place, it's going to force you to work harder to get a job that will pay you more. And that was like, I thought I was going to make it work. Or I thought I would get a roommate, and I could afford it, but I didn't have a lot of extra money. And I didn't want to stay at my job. I hated my job. I sold engagement rings for 5 years for a company called Roberts Brothers. And it was cool. I made a lot of money because I was really good at it, and it was commission. But that wasn't what I went to school for. I didn't go to school to be a salesperson, so I was miserable, so miserable. And when I bought my place, I got so scared afterwards. I freaked out, and I just had plummeted into this deep, dark depression. And I went to the doctor, and she prescribed me Lexapro. Apparently, she thought I had depression because I was experiencing symptoms of depression at that time. But she gave me Lexapro, and that sent me into mania. So that was my second psychotic episode. And I did not get any type of diagnosis after that. I didn't go to any doctor after that. Everybody thought it was drugs, even though I wasn't using drugs. I probably used them a few times in that episode. I did, but I was already gone. I was already in mania. So I didn't actually get my proper diagnosis until 2017. In my third episode, I didn't use any drugs at all. In my third episode, with the one that I was talking about earlier, where I went to when I was working in Santa Monica, that episode lasted like 6 months, because that was the one that got me put in UCLA. And that was so embarrassing. That was the worst. It's so horrible. Like, imagine going to your job, if you're watching and you're not bipolar. Imagine going to your job, and last night you cussed everyone out at some party, fell on your face, threw up everywhere, started saying random crazy things that didn't make any sense, and then had to go to work the next day. That's kind of how it is for mental illness, except that it's far worse because you say things that don't make sense. There's a lot of misunderstanding about mental illness. It's embarrassing. There's so much shame and guilt. And so it was hard. But yeah, so I did not get my diagnosis until my fourth episode in 2000. I had the episode. I got married in 2015, and then in September, and by December, I was psychotic. And I did not get help until October of 2016. I was arrested for walking into somebody's house because I have been wandering the streets for like almost a year at this point. No, a year at this point, wandering the streets, right? Just walking around, talking to random people, doing stupid manic stuff. And one of my episodes I cashed out. This one I cashed out. The one I'm talking about, I cashed out my retirement, which was like 26 grand. And I went and stayed in a whole bunch of fancy hotels. I gave money away. I remember, so my second episode, I actually bought a whole new car. And then I got it stolen. Just so much crazy stuff happened. But I didn't get my actual diagnosis until 2017. 2016, I got arrested for going into someone's house on October 1st, I think. And luckily, I had a lawyer, but I was not competent, meaning I went to court. They arrested me for going to this person's house. I went to court, and apparently I started screaming in the middle of court. And so the judge held me incompetent, which means that you are not mentally fit to represent yourself in court. So when you're incompetent, they said they had like this pilot program where rather than me sit in LA County Jail, they sent me to Rancho Cucamonga, which is like hours away, and I was in this small section and everybody was on medication. Everybody was like, had some sort of mental issue there. I remember there was this one girl, this is really interesting. There was this one lady, she was convinced she was pregnant. She went around telling everybody she was pregnant. She was pregnant with the second coming of God, or Jesus, second coming of Jesus or whatever. And she said that the reason why she hadn't had the baby yet is because she wasn't sure how long the term was going to last because of the baby was so special, which is a common delusion. For people who are bipolar, there's always like those delusions of grandeur, like everybody's, I don't know, like you have superpowers, or like you know special stuff that other people don't know. But yeah, so I was talking about the fourth episode. I got arrested. I was in jail for 3 months. After they found me incompetent, they sent me, I had already been sitting in jail for 2 months because I was incompetent and the system is slow. You can't go to court, you can't do anything if you're incompetent. So I was incompetent. Went to Rancho Cucamonga. They made me study this book of the law, like who's the judge, who's the plaintiff, who's the defendant, and they forced me to take medication. Well, they didn't force me. They gave me the option, but I took the medication. I was taking the medication because I knew by now, from so many times being hospitalized, there was no way I was going to get out if I didn't take the medication. So I took the medication. I was at Rancho Cucamonga for a month. And then when I got out, I had major consequences. I had a felony burglary charge. I still have a felony on my record. I have a whole packet to try and get it expunged that I have been not taking to the courthouse because it's so traumatic for me to go to the courthouse. It's been sitting there like a year. It's time. I need to get it expunged. I can get it expunged. But they wanted to put me in prison for 2 years for that. And luckily, I had a lawyer and he negotiated probation. So I was on 3-year felony probation. So I had to check in once a month. And I got released 6 months early because I asked to. I said, can I leave early? And so I went to court and asked if they could, because I already paid all my fees. I had to pay like $4,000 of fees because they charge you $100 a month for the probation officer, and then they charge you all these other fees. So I had to pay a ton of money. And so yeah, that was after that, when I got out and I saw my current psychiatrist, that was when she gave me my diagnosis of bipolar 1 with psychotic features and mixed episodes, which is like a full sentence. But prior to that, I didn't have one. So that was like my 1 hour answer to the question, how old were you when you were first diagnosed? I was 16, improperly diagnosed, 28, improperly diagnosed, 35, not diagnosed with anything. No, they diagnosed me with something at the hospital. They did diagnose me with something, but it was unspecified. They didn't really know what was wrong with me. But I remember I went to the psychiatrist when I got out of the hospital because I had to go to psychiatrist in order to get my job back. My job had said, you can come back to work, but you have to be on your medication, which is so embarrassing. I remember the humiliation of sitting in the human resource office with the CEO of my company looking at me like, you're going to take your medication, right? Like I'm a child. It was humiliating. So humiliating. It just made me feel so small. But yeah, so that was the 3rd time. And the doctor told me, the doctor that I went to, I think he thought I was bipolar type 2, because that's what he was medicating me with, only 10 milligrams of Abilify, which is not enough for someone with bipolar 1, and that level can send you into an episode, is what I found out later. So yeah, so I didn't get the proper diagnosis until 6 years ago. And I have realized how much of my life has been affected. Like, I knew I lost all these years, like that's something everyone feels, like the years lost from your psychosis or episodes or whatever, everyone feels that. Have you ever been to jail or prison? Yeah. I was in jail for 3 months, prison, no. Jail, I went to jail when I was 18 for 5 days, right out, 2 weeks after my 18th birthday actually. I was with a friend and she had drugs on her and the cop thought they were mine, but she confessed at court that they were hers. We both got arrested and she confessed that they were hers. So I think I got out of jail after 4 or 5 days there. So I went to jail that time, and then I went to jail in my other episodes, but not for very long. It was usually I was psychotic, and they would give me a ticket for like trespassing or something, throw me in jail for a few hours, and then give me a piece of paper for court and kick me out. God, if they wanted to send me to prison, I can't imagine going to prison. That would be horrible. Horrible. So I have never even told you guys the worst thing that ever happened to me because of my mental illness, but I don't think I can. I want to. I've thought about it a lot, but something really horrible happened to me medically after my first episode. Something medically horrible happened to me, and I don't know. It's too much to talk about. I guess it's too embarrassing. I don't want people to feel sorry for me or anything like that. But yeah, it's been a fun ride, right? Have any of you guys like been diagnosed more than once? Given the wrong diagnosis? Nancy, are you still there? When did you get diagnosed? Do they have psychiatrists in those? In jail or in the hospitals they do? In jail, it was a oh God, I remember, this was so awful. I was in Rancho Cucamonga, right, and I kept asking my psychiatrist, because it's up to them when you get out, when you can go back to jail to face your case. It was so insulting. I don't know if he thought I was homeless or what, but I asked him, because it was almost Christmas. I did spend Christmas in jail that year. And I really wanted to be home with my family. And I remember asking the psychiatrist, he was very, very just like, looked at me like I was like garbage. I was in jail, I was garbage. I had a mental illness, I was garbage. That's how he looked at me. And I remember asking him, so when am I gonna get out? And he's like, he laughed at me. Because I was like, am I going to get out before Christmas? Like, I think I asked him, am I going to get out before Christmas? And he laughed at me and was like, why? Why do you want to know so bad? And I was like, because I have a family. And it was like the word, I just remember that so clearly. That guy was such a... The first psychiatrist I saw in jail was really good, though. But yeah, look, I stopped talking about I didn't finish my other story. So where I said, like, in my 3rd episode, my doctor, I don't know what he diagnosed me with. I think it was bipolar type 2. But he just looked at me. I remember going to this point, he just looked at me and said, asked me what had happened, and I told him, and then he just looked at me and was like, well, you should know by now you have to take medication. Here's the prescription. He died a year later doing a stress test. Died of a heart attack doing the stress test. So then I had to find a new psychiatrist. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Why? Oh, hello, Mr. Clowny. I don't know how to say Kim? 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 Oh my goodness, I have the exact same diagnosis. It's so funny. You know what, Kathy? I have a completely different view of the world, and I don't, like, I think that, like, conspiracies and things like that, I often sit around and think, not the current mass hysteria that's happening in the world, but, like, I still wonder about things, like, if they're real or not. I still wonder, like, if there's any truth in certain delusions I've had. I still have a reoccurring delusion that I work for the CIA, and that, and sometimes I'll, like, pay attention to the people around me and be like, why is that guy eating like that? Or, like, you know, why did that right-handed guy just do that with his left hand? Like, so I have, like, a reoccurring delusion, but I also have, like, weird theories based on my mania, like this is all a simulation, shit like that, crazy stuff. But yeah, they're really real. They're definitely real. Definitely feels real when you're out there. So it's been an hour, and I still have, there's a handful of you guys there. I feel like I was telling my whole story, which I have in a video if you want to check it out. I have my first 3 psychotic episodes. I have a video on that, and I have a video on my last manic episode, which is basically everything that I just talked about, but a little more. So yeah, I'm not sure what I should do next for a video. I keep thinking about doing a video on all the medications. Yeah, I'm glad my life is stable now too. It's hard though. It's so hard. I feel like I'm a million times more sensitive than I was even before. Like, ever since I was a kid, like, I would go to the movie theater and cry during the previews. Like, give me a break. Like, who cries during previews? I did. I cried at commercials. I cried all the time. You know, it's because I'm an empath, which I figured out. If you don't know what that is, an empath is somebody that subconsciously notices other people's body language and tics or whatever. You subconsciously notice all of that, and you actually feel what they're feeling. Thank you for being here. I don't think that you guys realize how much this channel makes me feel less alone. Like, I don't want to get emotional about it or anything, but sometimes you guys will leave comments that are just so like telling your story and sharing, and it like just like clenches my heart and makes me feel like, wow, like they got through it too, you know, like, because it's hard to get through it. So yeah, so when people tell me their story and stuff, I've had some people, one person told me one time that they worked as a firefighter, and that their psychosis that they experienced living through that was far more traumatic than anything they'd ever seen on the job, which is hard to believe, right? I mean, firefighters go into like crazy situations. My dad was a volunteer firefighter. He saw some crazy stuff. So yeah, this channel means a lot to me, so I'm glad, and I thank you, Kathy. It's cool to talk to you guys once in a while. I really do, like, I don't have that many friends. Tiffany's my friend. I have a friend that I see once in a while that lives in Hawthorne, and I have another friend that I see once in a while. Yeah, it's schizoaffective bipolar type is pretty similar. So Mahash, is that, I don't know if that's how you say it, hopefully that's how you say it. Not taking medication, not wanting to take medication is a symptom. It's with people with schizophrenia, and I don't know the difference between schizoaffective and schizophrenia, but I did ask my doctor if I was schizoaffective one time, and she said no, because then you would have these symptoms all the time. It wouldn't just be cyclical like bipolar is. So I guess maybe schizoaffective is like, yeah, I don't really know. But I do know that there's a really good TED Talk. I recommend it to everyone, because that is the number one symptom. We do not know we're sick. We don't know we're delusional, because a delusion is not real, and so we believe something that's not real. We don't know that we're believing something that's not real. It's really, really hard. I'm really glad that it helps with understanding what he's going through. But anyways, Xavier Amador did a TED Talk. He wrote a book called I'm Not Sick and I Don't Need Help. And my husband read it, and he said it significantly helped him understand what I was going through. And he's a doctor who studied bipolar and other psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia for years. And he does this TED Talk, and he actually helped develop the new wording in the DSM-5, which is like the Handbook of Mental Illnesses, and so because you can submit to modify the diagnosis or whatever, and so he has submitted, and he changed it to unawareness of illness as a symptom, because unawareness of illness, and he said it's very similar to like look at the TED Talk. It's from Xavier Amador. It's X-A-V. If you just put in Xavier and then A-M-A-D-O-R, TED Talk, I think it's really beneficial to watch, because his brother had schizophrenia, and he tells the whole story of how his brother refused to take his medication, and how he saw his brother suffering. It must be really hard for you. I'm really sorry. Because I know on the other side it's really, really difficult. Because I've been in both seats, and you're powerless, and it's hard. It's hard all the way around. So if you watch that, he tells the story of his brother, and how his brother refused to take medication for years, and then he started talking to his brother differently, and then his brother started taking medication on his own. So I really hope the same happens for you. Sometimes it just takes us a long time to... There was another article I was reading from, I think it was Steve Him, that said he's a neuroscientist, and when I was doing research, he said that most people lose a decade of their life before they get diagnosed properly and on medication. Yeah, it was my whole life before I got on medication. But I don't know, maybe the rest of my life is going to be like amazing, even though like the first 40 years were a nightmare. Maybe, I mean, not a nightmare all the time, but really, really hard. Maybe now this part of my life, the rest of my life, is going to be super easy. I used to think that, but it's not. You take medication, and medication keeps you from going psychotic, but it doesn't do a whole lot for like the day-to-day little blow-ups. I don't know, maybe a lot of that's PTSD. I don't know, I never had that kind of rage until I had PTSD. But I really hope your brother gets better. I'm sorry. It's a horrible feeling to be powerless and watch somebody else in pain, and know that they're suffering and not be able to do anything. But yeah, I highly recommend that video, because if there's any part, he does a demonstration in that video, which is very, very, it's a really good demonstration. I've never seen anything like it in a video about mental illness or anything. but it's a really good TED Talk, and it really helps you understand the symptom. It's called anosognosia. Yeah, of course. Did you find it? Um, in case you don't find it, when I publish this, I'll put the link underneath. But it will help you, I promise, because the book really helped my husband understand, and the video, the demonstration is just really. You can see the person that he's doing the demonstration with. You can see how freaked out they are. So yeah. So I've been on here over an hour. I would love to talk to you guys all day. I don't really have anything else to do, but I should probably go soon. But I just heard from a few of you, so I really don't want to leave. So, anybody have any questions? Anything? Anyone? My generation, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Anyone? It's a scene in a movie. Okay, guys, I'm gonna close it up because I think I am gonna find something to do. I think I wanna work on a song or something like that. But it's always fun doing these. I enjoy talking to you guys, and okay. Medication. So medication is tough. I've been on 14 different medications, and I plan on doing a video all about it. But I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you. There isn't a best medicine for bipolar 1. There is. When you get on an antipsychotic, that will stabilize you. So when I was in the hospital to stabilize me, I think one time they put me on Zyprexa, olanzapine, and I think that brought me out of psychosis. And they put me on Abilify, and I think that brought me out of psychosis. But those are not the medications that I take regularly. If you're in the middle of a crisis, they'll have to go to an antipsychotic and give you that if you're in the middle of a crisis, like if you're in the middle of an episode. But currently I'm on a mood stabilizer and an antipsychotic, which I don't usually take an antipsychotic. Usually I take a maintenance drug called Lamictal, and that has been worked for me for a really long time. But when my dog passed away in April, and I didn't sleep for 2 days and started to go into another psychotic episode and voluntarily sent myself to the hospital. They didn't change my meds at all. But after that, and they didn't change my meds in the hospital, but when I got out and I saw my doctor, she added a drug called Geodon, which is an antipsychotic. And so I've been taking that, but it's not permanent. And the thing about medications is that, well, one, there's a lot of things about medication. One, you have to make sure you're completely tracking your side effects. Any side effects you have, write them down, see if those are actual side effects, and tell your doctor about all of your side effects, because there's a million different I don't know about a million, but there are literally thousands of different kinds of medications. And so there's a lot for them to choose from, so it's really just trial and error. It depends on the person's body. For example, Resperol was one of the drugs that made me really sick, and then there was somebody I found on YouTube, and that's the drug that they take, and it really works well for them. I can't really say what's the best medication. I think you just kind of have to trust your doctor and start playing the game, which one works and which one doesn't. I'm really lucky that I have a really good psychiatrist. So your psychiatrist, I think, should be the most important person in your life if you have a mental illness, because you're not going to be able to love anyone, be there for anyone. You're not going to be able to do anything without your psychiatrist giving you the proper treatment. So I really trust my psychiatrist. She's really good. She typically is a child psychiatrist, so she knows her stuff. And so when I first started seeing her, I was on Abilify, because that's what they had put me on in jail. And so the first thing she did was change that and said that it's not good to be on that long term. So a lot of antipsychotic, it's not good to be on them long term, depending on the medicine. But that particular one, she said, it's not good for you to be on long term. I want to try something else. So that's when she put me on the Mictal, and it worked. I started at 100 milligrams, and now I've steadily increased it over the years. Now I'm on the max dose. So that's probably why she had to add she had to add the Geodon, because I was having symptoms of psychosis. But, so I could go down a really long list if you want to know everything I've been on. Tegretol, Resperol, Halidol, Prazosin for PTSD, Wellbutrin. One time I tried to quit smoking, that caused me to have an allergic reaction. Abilify, Trazodone, Geodon, there's more. I know there's Zyprexa, a lot of different medications. So yeah, so everybody's different. It just depends on your body, and I'm lucky that the medicines that I do take don't have any side effects. I don't have any side effects at all. The only side effect, I should say at all, the only side effect that I have is if I take my 400 milligrams in the morning, I cannot open my eyes in the sunlight without sunglasses. You get really sensitive to light. So I'm supposed to take 200 in the morning and 200 at night. But sometimes, if you guys are on meds, if any of you have bipolar disorder, you know this one's like sometimes you take your medication like 4 times because you can't remember if you took it already. It's like better to take it than to not take. Oh, we got Summer joining us. Look at Summer's here. Hello. Look, Summer, that's you. Look, there you are. My kid. Yeah, so I was gonna go, but I wanted to answer that question really quick about medication, and I'm gonna do a full video on medication too next when I do another video. But it was so fun talking to you guys. Next time I will. You're welcome, Lauren. I think that's how you say it. Kumar. I know Kumar. I think, can I call you that? Thank you guys for joining me. Like I said, I don't have a lot of friends, so it's fun to talk to people. What was I going to say? My next video, I don't really remember. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Next time I do a live, I will give you more than 2 hours notice. I just really felt like, hey, let me check in with some people today and see how they're doing. So it was good to see you guys here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you later. Bye. Trying to close. Bye. Yes, I'm ending. Bye. Bye again. Adios. Later.